Salem never sleeps, and neither do its secrets. But this week, it's not a scandal in the shadows or a villain's return stealing the spotlight. It's a dinner date. Or so we thought. Let's rewind. At a recent bachelor auction that had everyone buzzing, Chad DiMera found himself at the center of a bidding war. With one twist no one saw coming. Instead of a mystery woman or an ambitious romantic, it was Maggie Kuriakis who dropped $1 million to win the date. Yes, you heard that right. $1 million donation, a DiMera bachelor, and a very unexpected pairing. But what started as a charitable gesture is about to become a night that turns Chad's love life upside down. Let's be honest, when Maggie Kuriakis dropped $1 million at the bachelor auction to win a date with Chad DiMera, Salem collectively raised an eyebrow. This wasn't a romantic power play, and Maggie made that crystal clear. She wasn't in it for the champagne or candlelight. She was in it to protect Chad from being swept up by someone who didn't have his best interests at heart. But what if her intentions ran even deeper? Because Maggie has always had a soft spot for Chad. She's seen his struggle, the grief, the guilt, the hesitation to move on. And as someone who knows the cost of waiting too long to embrace happiness, maybe Maggie decided it was time to step in. But not for herself, for him. What if the $1 million bid wasn't a detour, but a setup? A plan. A quiet matchmaking move designed to gently push Chad toward the one woman who's been right under his nose, but just out of reach. Enter Kat Green. Kat Green has been floating around Salem like a spark just waiting for fuel. Stylish, sharp, and unapologetically bold, she's turned more than a few heads, and Chad's might be next. She's joked about entering the auction herself. She's flirted with the idea of finding her own millionaire. And she's traded witty banter with Chad more than once. But what if it wasn't just flirting? What if Maggie, ever the orchestrator behind the scenes, set the entire night in motion, not to claim Chad for herself, but to get him in the same room with Kat, and out of his own way? Picture this. Chad arrives at the restaurant expecting to dine with Maggie. He's on time. He's polite. But before the first course hits the table, Maggie leans in with that signature knowing smile and says something like, "Chad, I appreciate this, but I think someone else needs your company more tonight." Then she gets up and walks out. Chad, confused, maybe even a little annoyed, stays seated until he turns and sees Kat, across the room, alone at a table, as if by chance. Only it's not chance at all. Because in Salem, nothing ever is. Maybe Kat believes a mysterious donor sponsored her dinner for charity. Maybe Chad assumes it's a coincidence. And maybe Maggie? She's already back home, sipping tea, watching it all unfold just as she planned. Two people, one table, no expectations, just a conversation, and a spark that neither one of them saw coming. Because the best kind of setup is the one where no one realizes they're being set up. And in this case, Maggie Kuriakis may have just pulled off the most elegant matchmaking move Salem's seen in years. No manipulation, no schemes, just a gentle, well-timed push toward possibility. Now the question is, will Chad and Kat lean into the moment? Or will fear pull them right back to where they started? Let's be honest, Chad DiMera hasn't exactly been opening doors to his heart lately. He's been walking through life like a man with one foot in the past and the other frozen in place. Still grieving, still questioning, still haunted by a love he lost and the life he thought he'd still be living. But Kat Green? She's not like anyone else he's crossed paths with in Salem. She doesn't tiptoe around emotions. She doesn't hide behind pleasantries. She's bold, unfiltered, and unapologetically alive, everything Chad hasn't let himself be in a long time. And yet, we've seen the signs. The sparks in their conversations. The tension hiding behind the sarcasm. The comfort they find in each other's presence, despite how hard Chad tries to pretend otherwise. Up to this point, he's kept it casual. Kept his walls up. Convinced himself he's not ready. But what happens when life doesn't wait for readiness? What if, on a night that was supposed to be just a polite, predictable dinner, Chad finally lets his guard down? What if he realizes that it's not about being ready, it's about being willing? Willing to feel again, to risk again, to live again. And maybe, just maybe, Maggie Kuriakis saw that before he did. Maybe she knew the only way Chad would ever stop hiding behind grief was if someone gave him permission to stop surviving, and start beginning again. If that's the case, then this $1 million dinner wasn't a detour, it was destiny, carefully gift-wrapped by Salem's most unlikely Cupid. If that's the case, then this $1 million dinner wasn't a detour, it was destiny, carefully gift-wrapped by Salem's most unlikely Cupid. And it might just become the most valuable thing money didn't mean to buy. Here's the twist everyone's waiting for. This date didn't go according to plan. Or maybe there was no plan at all. Because according to spoilers and subtle clues from recent episodes, this evening took an unexpected turn. And now fans are left piecing it together like a Salem-style mystery. So let's explore the theories. Did Maggie bow out early, on purpose? Was this her subtle, elegant way of handing the reins over to Kat? A quiet nudge toward fate disguised as an early exit? Did Kat show up because of a secret sponsor? Could someone, maybe Maggie, maybe even Chad, have anonymously arranged her evening without revealing the truth? Was Chad the one who bid on Kat, but couldn't say it out loud? Maybe his fear of what it might mean kept him silent. Maybe he hid behind Maggie's $1 million move so he could test the waters without fully committing. Or did Maggie's master plan completely unravel? Could the evening have spiraled into something none of them expected? A collision of unspoken feelings, crossed wires, and undeniable chemistry that no one was truly prepared for? Whatever the truth is, one thing's for sure, this wasn't just a dinner. It was a turning point, crafted in secret, wrapped in uncertainty, and driven by something none of them can name just yet. Monday's episode promises to pull back the curtain on what really happened that night. And when it does, we won't just get answers, we might just see the beginning of a love story no one predicted, but everyone's ready to watch unfold. So buckle up, because what looked like a $1 million date might just have bought Chad and Kat something far more rare, a second chance at something real. On the surface, it looks like a whimsical twist of fate, two people sharing an unexpected night, nudged together by Maggie Kuriakis and the chaos of a charity auction. But in Salem, nothing is ever just cute or coincidental. This might look like a chance encounter, but underneath? It's a powder keg of unspoken emotions, unfinished healing, and the potential for something real, or something ruinous. Chad stands at a personal crossroads. He's spent months keeping his heart locked behind the memory of a life he can't get back. He's cautious, guarded, and maybe even a little scared of what it means to feel something again. But Kat is unlike anyone he's known. She challenges him, draws him out, and offers the kind of connection that doesn't ask for permission, it just arrives, full force. And now? That connection is right in front of him. So what happens if Chad takes the leap? What happens if he cracks open the door, and Kat doesn't just walk in, but plants herself firmly in his life? Could it be the start of something lasting? Or will the grief he's been carrying sabotage it all before it can begin? Because here's the truth, grief doesn't vanish with a new face. Fear doesn't dissolve after one good night. And starting over? That takes more than chemistry. It takes courage. So while Maggie's $1 million matchmaking gamble may have set the wheels in motion, only Chad can decide whether to hit the brakes, or let this thing fly. This wasn't just a glamorous evening. This wasn't just a generous bid. And it certainly wasn't just another Salem storyline. This was something more. A pivotal moment disguised as a playful event. A turning point that could quietly reshape the emotional landscape of two characters who desperately need something, or someone, to believe in again. For Chad, this could be the night he stops living in memory and starts living in the present. For Kat, this could be the moment she finally finds someone who sees her, not just the attitude, not just the charm, but the person beneath it all. And for Maggie, maybe she's not just matchmaking for sport. Maybe she knows that sometimes people need help finding the courage they forgot they had. So as we look ahead, will Chad finally let himself move forward, truly, fully, and without apology? Is Kat ready to let someone in, or is she hiding vulnerabilities of her own? And will Maggie's quiet hand in all this lead to a rare thing in Salem, a relationship born from kindness, not chaos? Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. This was never just about dinner. It was a challenge, a spark, a test of whether two broken people are brave enough to try again, together. So don't let the quiet ending fool you. Because in days of our lives, the real storms don't always start with thunder. Sometimes, they begin with a whisper, a glance, a night you almost didn't show up for. And those are the stories that change everything.